So we're diving into the story behind one of the most famous structures in the entire world. I mean, you know the Eiffel Tower, right? Of course you do. But I bet you don't know the real story of how it went from a hated project to this global icon.
So let's just get right to it with this massive question. Was Paris's greatest icon a mistake? I know, it sounds crazy. It's impossible to even picture Paris without it now. But the truth? The tower we all know and love had a super rocky start, and get this, was never, ever meant to be permanent.
And this is where it gets really interesting. On one hand, you've got the myth, right? This timeless symbol of romance. But the reality? Whoa. It was actually a temporary, super controversial experiment that a ton of people absolutely positively hated.
Okay, so to really get this, we've got to look past all the beautiful photos and figure out what the tower's real purpose was in the first place. Because it definitely wasn't built just to be a pretty tourist spot.
All right, picture this. It's 1889, and Paris is hosting the World's Fair, the Exposition Universelle. This thing was a huge deal. It was celebrating the 100th anniversary of the French Revolution, but really, it was all about France showing off. It was a chance for them to flex their industrial muscles and prove to the world just how powerful their engineering was.
So for the centerpiece of this massive fair, they held a big competition. And I mean big, over 100 different designs were submitted. But the one that won came from the company of the legendary Gustave Eiffel. Now, fun fact, the original idea actually came from two of his engineers, but Eiffel was the guy who championed it, paid for it, and saw it through. So naturally, it got his name.
But here's the twist. The second the design was picked and they started building, boom, the project hit a massive wall of controversy. Turns out, the cultural elites of Paris thought this thing was a total monstrosity. This so-called masterpiece was, at first, seriously unloved.
And they were not quiet about it. You had over 300 of the city's top artists and thinkers signing this furious protest letter. They called it, get this, a truly tragic street lamp, a gigantic, ugly black smokestack. They were convinced it would destroy the beauty of Paris and demanded right then and there that construction be stopped.
But even with all that public outrage, the project pushed forward. And that brings us to the next chapter, the incredible engineering triumph that was building this thing. It was a flat-out race against time. I mean, just look at this timeline. It's mind-blowing. They started digging the foundation in January of '87, and by March of '89, it was done. The whole tower built in just over 2 years. For the 1800s, that's just, wow, an incredible, incredible feat. So you're probably wondering, how on earth did they do it that fast? Well, here's the secret sauce. The tower is made up of more than 18,000 separate iron pieces. But, and this is the genius part, they didn't make them on site. They were all built ahead of time at a factory and then brought over to be assembled, almost like a giant high-tech puzzle.
And what held this giant puzzle together? 2.5 million rivets. And every single one of those was hammered in by hand. It just goes to show you the insane scale and the kind of precision they were working with. They were basically pioneering assembly line techniques on a massive scale.
So, what was the result of all that incredible work? Well, when it was finished, the Eiffel Tower was the tallest man-made structure in the world, period. It held that title for over 40 years. It was this powerful, undeniable symbol of a new modern age. But okay, even after being the star of the World's Fair, the tower's story wasn't over, not by a long shot. Its future was totally up in the air, because its permit was only temporary. It was actually saved by something nobody saw coming, the airwaves. This is the story of how a temporary tower got a second life it was never supposed to have.
And this is maybe the most shocking part of the whole story. The tower was never meant to last. The permit was only for 20 years. The plan from day one was to tear the whole thing down in 1909. Can you even imagine?
So what saved it from the wrecking ball? In a word, science. First off, its height was absolutely perfect for this brand new technology called radio. It became this amazing platform for experiments. And then, during World War I, its value went through the roof. It was used to intercept enemy radio messages, which was huge. Suddenly, this ugly smokestack had a critical scientific and military purpose. It was its saving grace. The government basically said, wait a minute, we can't possibly tear this thing down, it's too useful.
And just like that, the Eiffel Tower became an accidental icon. It dodged its own demolition date and started this slow, amazing transformation from a hated eyesore into the global symbol of France that we all recognize today.
So what does the tower do today?
Well, it's a few things at once. It's a tourism superstar, pulling in almost 7 million visitors every single year. It's still a science and tech hub, acting as a crucial broadcast tower for TV and radio. And of course, its biggest job, just being the undisputed symbol of France.
And there are so many cool little-known facts about it. Like, did you know it actually grows in the summer? The heat makes the metal expand, and it can get up to 15 centimeters taller. Or that it has to be completely repainted every 7 years to stop it from rusting. And here's a great one. During World War II, the French resistance actually cut the elevator cables, so if enemy soldiers wanted to reach the top, they had to climb all 1,665 stairs. How's that for defiance?
So, when you boil it all down, the story of the Eiffel Tower is this really powerful lesson, isn't it? It shows that bold, new ideas, they almost always get criticized at first. But, with some grit, a clear vision, and maybe a little bit of luck, they can grow into these timeless symbols that define our world. It kind of makes you wonder, right? What are the ugly smokestacks of today that might just become the icons of tomorrow?